Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into the absolutely incredible story of a single military unit whose history is so much more than just battles. It's pretty much the story of how a nation was born. This is the story of the 11th timing. You know, this one line from their own oral history just perfectly nails the journey we're about to explore. It's a story of total transformation, from a brand new unit thrown into chaos to one that now carries a legacy all around the world. Okay, so let's get into it. Here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll get to know the unit itself. Then we'll see the insane act of rebellion that changed everything. We'll follow them through the war that made them who they are, watch their evolution onto the world stage, and finally, really unpack their lasting legacy. So first things first, who are we talking about here? Before all the fighting, before the rebellion, this was a unit with its own identity, created right on the brink of a historic storm. This is basically their character sheet. I mean, beyond the official name, they've got these powerful nicknames, 11th Time and the Igaro. Their motto tells you they're all about agility. And their colors, they're so symbolic. The deep red for the blood of martyrs and the green for the land of Bangladesh itself. Now this part is absolutely key. They're designated as light infantry. And that's not just some military jargon. That training in speed, mobility, and fighting in tough terrain is going to become absolutely critical when they have to transform from a standard army unit into a guerrilla force. All right, now we get to the moment that changed absolutely everything. Every great story has that one turning point, right? Well, for the 11th Battalion, it came when they had to make a completely impossible choice. And just look at how fast this all happened. The battalion was officially created on January 30th. Less than 2 months later, the very army they belonged to launches this brutal crackdown on their own people called Operation Searchlight. The battalion's response? It was immediate. They revolted. So, this was the fundamental question every single soldier in the 11th Time had to answer for themselves. And their decision to stand with their people, well, it didn't just define their own future. It helped set the entire course for the independence of a brand new country. So, they made their choice. Now they had to actually fight to survive. This is where the Tigers, as they were called, were truly forged in the fire of the Liberation War. This is where they went from being rebels to a battle-hardened, incredibly effective fighting force. They didn't go it alone, of course. They became part of the larger liberation forces, the Mukti Bahini, and were a core piece of the elite S Force, which was named for their commander. And get this, operating in Sector 11 basically meant they controlled the northern doorway to the capital, using their knowledge of the local land to just wreck enemy supply lines. And just think about the numbers here. We're talking about a single battalion, maybe 850 soldiers. A tiny force, really, but they played this massive, pivotal role in a war for the future of 75 million people. Their impact was just huge. But winning the war in 1971, that wasn't the end of their story. Not even close. The skills they'd sharpened in the jungles and fields of their home country were about to get a whole new purpose on the world stage: peacekeeping. I mean, just look at this contrast. It's an incredible evolution. They went from a rebel guerrilla force fighting for their own nation's independence to UN Blue Helmets protecting civilians and fighting for international stability. It's a really remarkable journey. And these weren't some easy deployments either. They were sent to some of the most difficult and dangerous conflict zones on the planet. We're talking the DR Congo, Mali, South Sudan. And in these places, they built this global reputation, not just for being professional soldiers, but for their amazing ability to connect with local people and win hearts and minds. So after the war, after the peacekeeping, what's the lasting impact of the 11th Time? Let's dig into why their stories still mean so much to their nation today. Their legacy really breaks down into 3 main parts. First, they were at the forefront, a vanguard force that helped win the country's independence. Second, their discipline became a blueprint that helped shape the new Bangladeshi army. And third, they became this proud symbol of their nation all over the world. And this lesson, which they teach every single new recruit, it gets right to the soul of who they are. It's an idea born directly out of that massive choice they made back in March 1971. For them, loyalty isn't just about following orders. It's about loyalty to the people and the nation itself. And we'll end on this thought right here. The story of the 11th Time is just this powerful reminder that sometimes a unit's greatest act of loyalty, its most defining moment, isn't found in following an order, but in answering the call of a cause.